All right, welcome to another episode of the Transformative Principal podcast. Joining me all the way from Cambodia, Kate O'Connell. Kate, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you, Mike. How are you?
Good. It's still in my first cup of coffee. So Kate is joining me from Cambodia. What time is it there right now? It's
Great
like
question. 8:10 p.m.
almost bedtime, and I'm just waking up. Always fun to try to figure out all the time zone stuff. Okay, let's talk about what we've been working on. Maybe in a bit, we'll talk about the leadership studios, but it might be helpful to start with a little bit of your background. So, what do you do?
Yeah,
And give you a little bit of your background and where you've come from and what you're doing now.
sure. Well, the end of the story is that I am now an international education consultant, a leadership coach, and workshop facilitator. But where I started was teaching first grade, third grade in Michigan, moved, taught seventh grade science in the inner city of Chicago, and just decided I wanted to go overseas. And I taught first grade in China for 3 years and heard about this school in Africa where people just kept saying, like, when they said Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, they got stars in their eyes. So, and then I got a chance to move there and I taught kindergarten for 2 years in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And these international experiences of teaching led me to understand that my teaching practice could really grow through working with a few British teachers, a few people that were from South Africa. Some had been trained in New Zealand, Australia. So what I loved about that experience was that my teaching, like, I felt like that's where I learned to teach.
Yeah,
That's where I became a good teacher. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I had a good education through Michigan State University. I had a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education and a master's in Curriculum and Instruction. And then life happens, and I had to move back to Chicago, and I taught in a inner city of, not inner city, affluent suburb of Chicago. Taught first grade for 5 years, and then moved to Thailand. Got to teach all kinds of grades at Prem Tinsulananda International School in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and then moved here to Phnom Penh, Cambodia, where I've been um, in a few different roles, but most recently I've done two headships. And that's where in all my schools, I took on leadership roles. Like, we need a curriculum coordinator for science. I'm like, I'll do it. We need a team leader. I'll do it. We need a head of PD. I'll do it. Just I tried to get every single leadership role I could and ended up getting a certificate of school management and leadership through Harvard and that's Harvard Business School. Really proud of that. That was not easy. That was a lot of
Know
work.
that? That's cool.
And yeah, so now I coach, having had two headships and 4 years of headship experience. I coach international school leaders. I facilitate IB workshops, trust-based observation workshops, and compass education workshops. Did I say? Yeah, IB, trust-based compass.
Yeah.
And now I've gotten to work with Link Leaders and help build engagement on the Link Leaders site, which I'm super passionate about because I believe every leader needs a coach and every leader should be a coach.
Well said. Well said. You have a huge breadth of experience, both breadth and also depth from teaching elementary, middle school, leading. You've done a little bit of everything. I'm sure that's been like, I don't know, just like taking all those experiences and then where you are today, you have so much to offer other leaders, and that's where that you're a coach now. I mean, to for other people to be able to um, kind of fast track their experience by through you, and be able to coach, getting coached by you would make such a difference for leaders. Tell me about like your approach to coaching. So when you're sitting down and talking to an individual leader, give me a feel of kind of your process and how you work with a leader.
Yeah, so I'm trained as an ICF, the International Coaching Federation, and in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and neuroshine technology. So I can do different types of coaching, but what I love to do with leaders is allow them to bring the topic that is the co-creation that ICF attributes to good coaching. And so I usually work with leaders like 8, 10, or 12 times and throughout the course of the year. So I'm with them. And
Yeah,
so, a beginning question is, what's pressing for you right now?
yeah,
And what do you want to get out of this 60 minutes? What do you want to walk away with at the end? And a measurement. Where are you now on a scale of 1 to 10 with maybe it's confidence as a leader. Some leaders have imposter syndrome. They get to be a leader because they're a good teacher, but they have no leadership experience. They've never dealt with the school budget. They've never dealt with a strategic plan, and they feel like a fish out of water and out of their depth. And so just
yeah.
having somebody to slow down with, someone to be present with you, and to usually the leader is the expert of their own context. So as a coach, I don't tell them what to do, but I know the right things to ask to help them uncover their own truth within that setting and what solution is going to feel right for them.
And that is really the key too, right? Is the asking the right questions at the right time to get what's inside them out, right? And that's kind of what
Yes.
you're working through, starting with like what's pressing for them and what their goals are. But then it's typically a series of questions to kind of pull that out.
Yep.
Do you find it?
And
Go ahead.
you might notice that your client, or the leader in this case that's being coached, will say something repetitively like, I'm just not feeling it, or I can't feel. And you'll notice they use that word feel so you can dig into it. So what are you feeling? What do you want to be feeling? What do you need to do to bridge that distance between how you're feeling now and where you want to be feeling?
Mhm.
And usually there's insights that happen because when we're by ourselves, our thoughts loop. I'm not feeling like being a leader at this school is what I want to do. Some people have that realization inside the coaching. I'm not in the right position.
Yeah,
What I thought would bring me happiness isn't. But then that just plays on a loop. And so the questions can disrupt the loop so that the thinking can go deeper. So yeah, you could have these realizations on your own, but working with a coach helps speed up the process.
yeah. You know what I like about I also have a coach myself, and sometimes I'll go into those coaching sessions with a bit of anxiety because you go into what feels like a meeting or in connection, and you feel like you need to know like what the agenda is going to be and what you like you want the control. But and you go I go into these meeting or coaching sessions sometimes, and I'm not sure this is going to be like valuable. I'm not even sure what I want to talk about. Like I kind of get stuck in my own head. But a good coach, and this has happened to me every time I go into a coaching session, a good coach just knows how to one, help you identify and it's just like pulling out like what's top of mind for you. What are you struggling with?
Yeah,
And if you can start
yeah,
there, a good coach, you don't have to, it's almost like you don't have to worry about anything else because a good coach will help guide you to at the end feeling like, that felt good. And I have a
Yes.
little bit more clarity and I have it just brings that out in you. And I've never gone to a coaching session where I walk out going, that was a waste of time, or why did I even do that? But I'll often go into a coaching session going, I just don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to spend my time doing this. Is this going to be valuable? And it always is.
That is such a common comment that I get at the beginning, even with a client today. At the end, they smiled and said, I really had this other topic that I wanted to discuss, and we discussed this topic, but actually this where we've come to, my takeaway and my action that I'm committing to is going to address the original question. And they were just blown away because they had that secret agenda and we talked about another agenda, but they still got it solved.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's how cool.
Yeah. So, Kate, you're helping working with me and Link leaders and our colleague Chad, and one of the things that you're helping to build right now is a mentorship kind of best practices or guide for mentors. And
Yes.
sometimes let's talk a little bit about like the overlap that sometimes we use coach mentor. They're not synonymous. They are different, but
Yes.
there's a relationship there. Rather than me trying to like pull those apart and like kind of talk about like where they are the same and where they're very different. What's your perspective on that?
So I feel when I'm in a coach setting, it's really important for me to abide by the ICF code of ethics. So that's my bias and that's my perspective. So I won't be advising, mentoring, or teaching. And oftentimes people come to me because of my experience as a head of school and they do want mentoring. So what I do is I will often say, let's make a 60-minute coaching call and let's finish with 15 minutes of mentorship. And what happens
I love that.
often is that through the coaching, the mentorship is no longer needed. However, I feel like the role of a mentor is someone to say, okay, say a leader is going through a staff crisis, like a safeguarding staff crisis.
Hmm.
And I, as a mentor, have been through many of those. So then my questions wouldn't be ICF related questions. My questions would be, have you considered working with a safeguarding specialist? When my experience happened, I hired a safeguarding specialist on retainer for 10 hours so that I could call. And for all those situations in that year, I said, have I done absolutely everything I could do? So the mentoring might have storytelling and specific questions like, have you considered this? What I don't think is appropriate in mentorship is you should. You really ought to. If I were you, this is what I do. Because a mentor is not, my experience is not their experience. So I can share my experience as a mentor to spark the leader's ideas.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've had to really learn over the last couple of years and still learning, always learning, but is when you feel that kind of internal instinct to like offer advice, because I think it's like inherent as humans, for whatever reason, and
Yes.
and and so we want to like offer advice or the you should or whatever else. I think that's a level of level further than just offering advice, but the experience share is really important. Like, and that's something that I'm in this program, this accelerator program, and we do our masterminds, and that's really what we spend the time in those masterminds is like, and frame it as an experience share. So if you just shared kind of what you're working on or struggling with, and I can have a relatable experience and it's about my experience and that maybe somehow unlocks something for you, um, then great. I just had that this week. We in our accelerator program, we have monthly masterminds for 2 hours. They're awesome. We have this great group of people from leaders all over the country doing different things, and the cohort experience is phenomenal. We'll come back to that with Leadership Studios, but um, so I had to do my deep dive this month. I was so anxious and going into it, because I was on the hot seat this month and share, just shared kind of what I was putting out there as kind of where I was wanting some support, and every one of them had an experience share in their own respective like journeys and experiences and things like that. And although our backgrounds and contexts are completely different, I could take away something from each one of those. But then also through all the collective experience shares, see a through line. Like, what is a common through line
Yeah.
through all those things that I'm listening to that plays back to what I was really needing from that deep dive? It was awesome. I loved it.
That is incredible.
Well, Kate, you have done a phenomenal job leading also not just the coaching, but this new cohort model at Link Leaders that we called Link Leadership Studios. We did a pilot in June. You and Chad, our other colleague, really designed this from the ground up, and it's all focused on engagement and really creating that community peer-to-peer connection. Why don't you talk a little bit about conceptually what is a leadership studio through Link Leaders? What is it, and how did you design it? Like, just like kind of high level, don't go into a lot of super details on that, but like give people a feel of what is a leadership studio and what does it entail?
Well, I think together, you, Chad, and I, it might have even been your idea. The word studio connotates like art and like creating something. So that gave me the belief that it could be more creative and less of a teaching experience. So while there was teaching every single week, and um, it was more like creating a space, that studio, creating the studio space where leaders got to come and have ideas sprinkled in more than teaching.
Yeah,
Like there's this book, The Gap and the Gain. That was when I read the survey at the end. The Gap and the Gain was one of the favorite lessons, at first lesson. A little bit of teaching and sparking ideas, like you could think of your year like this. What would that, so using coaching questions, what would it be like if you focused on what you gained over the course of that year rather than what we all do, focus on all the things we didn't achieve,
yeah,
and we had a safe space to then explore the concept. So I tried to frame all the sessions that we were together around books that had interesting reflections for leaders, that then we could spark this internal debate. And to create this, I used a lot of people like Peter Block's work on building community, Brené Brown's work on vulnerability. So really looking at what does it look like to bring people together, create psychological safety in a safe space, and really have most of the session be sharing of stories and reflecting.
yeah. Well, and it the way you and Chad approached this and designed it and more importantly facilitate it resonated. I'm going to read a couple quotes here. So this is by I want to say Lazen. Is that the right pronunciation? The first name?
Listen,
Lashin. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was wrong when I said it. She said, the circle, sitting with the same people across all 6 sessions and being honest, really honest, not professionally polished about what's actually hard. You don't get that in a staff meeting. That is it right there. Like
Yeah.
to be able to sit with peers, the space is created to be vulnerable, be real, talk about the things that are really hard. And those are rare moments when you get to have those opportunities, right? Especially when you're a leadership position, like you're kind of a shell, right? You got to be you know, be the leader and all these things that are on your shoulders that are weighing you down, like you just got to carry them. And you very rarely you get the opportunity to really connect and talk with peers that are sharing the similar weight. I love it.
Yeah. And one of the most powerful things was we were all in different countries and all working from different countries, minus a few of the same countries. But to be able to express an issue that you've had and hear that that was the same issue that somebody else has experienced across the world, there's something that just lets you breathe and go, I'm not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's so much to build on there. I mean, the 3 week pilot that we did in June was very well received. I think 5 out of 5, and everybody that took the survey afterwards and just gushed about you and your facilitation. And we're excited to be offering fresh new studios starting October 5th, and those are advertised on our website, so there'll be a lot of opportunity for other people to participate in those. And take what we learned and can always improve, but I think stretching them out a little bit longer and, especially during the school year. But we're really hoping to bring, a lot of leaders from all over the place together for these different studios. And we have two main studios that we're offering. The one that you facilitated, building your inner leader. So who do you think about when you think about that audience? And then we'll talk about the other one.
So I thought it was really helpful. We had coordinators that had quite heavy loads of managing down and managing up, right? And leading in the middle.
Yeah,
So that's a really hard spot to be in. When I wrote it, I was really thinking of like heads of school and people with a lot of responsibility, but it was also really beneficial for middle leaders.
yeah. Yeah, it seems like it's so transferable. I mean, building your inner leader and what the curriculum you designed and then the space that you created for connection. It seems like who doesn't it apply to? I mean, it's maybe a better question. If you're in a leadership position, I think regardless of where you are in your journey, I think you can get something out of it, without a doubt. If nothing else, with the learning from your peers and other people in the room. And then the other one we offered was building stronger teams, and Chad led that one. And obviously, in a leadership position, you have a team. You're not leading yourself or by yourself. You might be by yourself, but you have a team. And this was really about kind of elevating others around you and building a strong, competent, and cohesive team. Anything you'd want to share on that?
Yeah, I talked to Chad as we were creating these, and I run the IB's workshop called Leading and Managing Teams. And a lot of the separately, not knowing that I do that, Chad used some of the same material and led it in sort of the same way, using Patrick Lencioni's um, Five Dysfunctions of a Team.
Yeah, such a
And
good book.
it's a great book. And then knowing that he held space for leaders to have conversations, and his group was different from my group. And there were people at different stages that were able to share stories from different parts of their path on their career. And I know it was really powerful for the people in the room.
Yeah, what was cool about that one too, similar to I think both of these different studios that we're offering, kind of. are so transferable. But in that particular studio, he had, at least one principal that basically has retired. He's kind of on his second career, 40 plus years in education. And I love that he still showed up and was wanting to learn. And then you had on the other end in the same studio a principal that was, I think she was in her first, probably second or third year, early career
Yeah,
principal, right? And they both,
exactly.
I think, gained something from each other and also just the experience together. So it wasn't like, I'm anyway, I think that's really cool that you can create a space like that, and regardless of kind of where you are in your journey, you can still get so much value from it. And that's just really good design on you and Chad's part.
And I think it's a access point. Coaching and mentorship is not yet, it hasn't yet proliferated through education like I believe it should. And so being a part of a studio is like a safe space to see what mentorship and coaching kind of look like in a group setting
Yeah,
where a little bit of reflection can happen, connecting can happen, but also mentoring and coaching.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is not an infomercial, but I mean, that's at the core of what Link Leaders is about, is starting with the coaching and the mentoring. Like
Yeah.
if you don't have access right now to a high quality mentor or coach, or even if you do, having a second person to get support and perspective in the leadership positions that we're in, whether you're principal, assistant principal, superintendent, head of school, whatever. I don't think you can ever get too much support. And so what I love about what we're trying to do is there's no excuse for someone not to have that kind of support, because we have 30 plus mentors that are available right now for anybody, and people like you that are waiting and ready to support any leader, and Chad as well. And then we have this peer focused aspect with the leadership studios and some of the other things that we do on our platform. And between those two, I don't know if there's better professional development, in my opinion, than one-to-one support through with a coach or mentor, and getting together with peers to talk about real stuff. Like, I don't know if there's better like combo than those two things. You can go to a workshop, you can go to a conference, you can pull away some nuggets, but in terms of return on investment of time, which we don't have a luxury of time, you're going to get the most bang for your buck in both of those areas. Agree or disagree, Kate?
I would 100% agree, and I'll give you my reasons why. One of the reasons is it's problem-based practice. And when I did my certificate of school management and leadership, every course was about a problem of practice. So anytime you want to have effective PD, you want to be dealing with something that is current and context based,
Relevant.
right? You get
Yeah.
relevant. And then the second reason that I think that it is the best is it's differentiated.
Yes.
Yeah. So do I want to build my inner leader? Do I want to build stronger teams? And then inside the person leading it, the next time Chad leads building stronger teams, he'll have different people. It'll run differently. Same with me when I run building your inner leader. We as educator coaches, we can differentiate over the space of time for people to have a differentiated experience.
Yeah, absolutely. When I talk to district leaders that are looking for solutions for their district, I think that is really what I don't know, I think would be a challenge as a district leader. If whether you have 10 school leaders in your district, or 200, how do you as a district leader give individualized support for each one of those principals? Because the reality is they
Yeah.
all need something different. And even if they're on their 30th year or their third year or first year, they're going to need, they all need support. There's no question they all need
Yes.
support. Whether they're asking for it or getting support is another question, but they all need support. But it's different for all of those. So how do you do that as a district? And um, one of the districts we're working with closely, that's why they partner with us because if they have, they have 5 elementary school leaders, we have people that they can connect with. They have high school leaders, we can connect them. They have district office personnel, whether a curriculum or whatever else, we have people, and it's not all the same people. I mean, they're all different. So I think that's really key is the differentiation part. Whether you're doing the coaching and the mentoring or with peers, it's going to be context based on what you need specifically. So
And the ability to choose to look at the Link Leaders website, that's what I love, and look at all the different people and their different experiences and choose a coach or a mentor who shares your experience or
yeah,
who is in one of the things I've noticed is that there are many people that are in a current position and want to be in the next position. So a lot of people come to me and say, Kate, I'm a senior school principal. I want to do what you did and go into headship. Tell me, what do I need to do to get there?
yeah,
And so Link Leaders has people that in the US, you've got a few people internationally. Districts or leaders can look and see who is that person that has that role that I am really trying to go after and figure out what would be best for me to do to get that role.
yeah. And the flip side of that is someone that's in a rut. So you're talking about somebody that's like motivated to go forward and like they see a vision for themselves and maybe there's not opportunity within their district to feed them and to help them elevate. But then there's the others that are like, I'm just stuck. I don't even know if I want to be in this leadership position or
Yes.
I'm just like, and I mean, coaching can also unlock some things with that individual as well, right? And coaching and mentorship and kind of bring back the fire and help that individual kind of refine their why and what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing, right? So I think whether you're on either one of those ends of the spectrum,
Yes.
coaching and mentoring can really be the unlock that you're looking for.
That was my first ever desire, and on my website was to help teachers not leave the profession. My first desire was when I first became a coach was to help teachers deal with the stresses of the classroom and to coach them to help them stay in the profession. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We have way too many great people leaving, right? And we always talk about it within our own circle of Flink leaders is we're all about keeping great leaders leading longer. We need to keep them in the profession, and we have a lot of good leaders that we want to help become great, right? And then
Yes.
there's this other layer that we haven't talked that much about, but we also have this whole aspiring leader, people that are maybe not in the seat yet, that we want to begin leading, and they want to begin leading, and we want to support that aspiring leader as well. So a lot of opportunity there. So anyway, this wasn't meant to be an infomercial, but it all relates and connects and things like that. So and we're looks like we're about 40 minutes in. I usually try to keep these about 30 minutes. I forgot we're even doing a podcast. We just started having a conversation. So well, Kate, what question maybe I haven't I asked that I should have asked that you would love for me to ask?
That in and of itself is a great question. Maybe like what is my personal mission?
Hey, Kate, what's your personal mission?
My personal mission, I'm on a mission to humanize education, and I'm starting with humanizing leadership.
I feel like that's like the mic drop moment of the conversation. Need we say more?
Yeah. And that's why I love working with league leaders. The other day, I literally sat down and thought, what would I make if I could make anything out of scratch? And I was like, I would make a website where there'd be coaches for leaders. I was like, wait, that that's Link Leaders. I'm like, we're actually already doing that. But it
And
was
I was
fun.
just going to say, after you said your mission is like, Kate, you're in your sweet spot right now. You are doing the mission, and you're in a
Yeah.
position to impact a lot of people, which is really cool. So awesome, awesome. Well, Kate, thanks for the conversation and for all you do in education and leadership. And I really enjoy
Thank you.
working with you and learning from you every day. So I appreciate you. And for those that are listening to this podcast, thanks for listening, and come back to the next episode as well and share it with your friends. Kate, any last words of wisdom for our listeners?
Get a coach.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.